Hi everyone, this is Joanna, and thank you so much for our Law of One Teach Learning honorings, and we thank you so much. Today we're going to talk about, we're going to be diving in over the next little while on sovereignty and really exploring sovereignty, because this is the main focus vibrationally for humanity, for all collectives, especially those that we've called through our experiences of co-creation, minority, and disenfranchised. And that is so much of our collective. It's not really a majority, it's not really a minority, it's a majority, because each and every one of our collective has some sort of subjugation, disenfranchisement, whether it's the children collective, the aged collective, the native and aboriginal collective. There's so many subjugations that we're all healing as a collective. So it's really important that we dive farther, deeper, and wider, and press out our love into the healing of who we are as individuals and souls having a human experience. We've come as spirit, very powerful spirit masters in human bodies, to really sow the seeds of Source Creator through the bodies and awaken what we know to be true about the multidimensional body systems through holistic healings, through energy, through the purification process that love, forgiveness, and compassion provides us. The affirmations, understanding how to nourish and nurture all that we are, the daily self-care that's so important. But what we wanted to talk about today, and it may be a trigger for some, I understand, because I've had many different life experiences, as well as the akashic remembrances, that as we're clearing the akashic remembrances and the lineage remembrances, someone that's an empath and a crystal child, we can feel those experiences, even if they're not in this reality, as a real reality experience when it's cleared, when it's brought forward to be cleared and cleansed. And we clear those by breathing through the experience, recalling in love through that breath. And as we're breathing through those clearing processes, as we've showed you in that clearing, cleansing, and releasing video, which is our most important video, so please feel free to use it every day. Breathing through those experiences allow you to truly clear that trauma that is held within deep cellular tissue, the chakras, the physical, mental, emotional, and etheric bodies. And why, as we create that daily clearing and cleansing, we can feel when things come in that is not ours, then we can allow ourselves to move and navigate in new, heightened, masterful ways. And that's really, really important for all light workers, all healers, so that we can be the example and show others and prepare the fields for the children as they're moving through their clearing and cleansing, because they've come as very high vibrational beings, and they're taking on so much that is not being taught to them on how to clear and cleanse their bodies and keep them in a homeostasis of the highest vibration. And so what we'll talk about today is any type of mental, emotional, and sexual trauma. So there may be triggers, that will be brought forward. And the triggers are there to remind you that you're ready to clear it. And what we're going to do today is we're going to offer a short ascension discussion, so that you can take your time in processing the conversation, processing the offering through the codes and the energies that we're offering as this collective of the Holy Christ, as the collective of our most holy. Archangel is with us. The angels are already with us. Your angels are with us. Your guides are with us. Your teams are with us. And there's always protection offered from above, below, and all four corners, so that you know that you have support. You have the teams of the heavens with you as you're clearing and calling these energies that are oftentimes not yours. However, because of your role in your soul's contract, you've come to clear it for your lineage. If you're a divine feminine, and even if you're not a divine feminine, because I'm only explaining it from my perspective in the body that I hold as divine feminine and my own earthly Akash lineage experiences. Some of the traumas that I have cleared of sexual abuse, persecution, subjugation, in very dramatic and intense experiences, because I've had to experience them and remember them so that I'm able to help with the subtle energy healing for those that have also gone through trauma. And so varying range from minor to very major trauma with subjugation. And to understand that some of these are from the lineage that we've come with. And we'll give you an example. Many, many years ago, in a class with a master, I was reminded that some of the traumas and the sexual traumas, and the lack of self-worth and the lack of honor that we have for our bodies, just as an example, is, and this goes for male and female, because we're coming into a time of rebalancing all that we are, that Vesica Pisces that we often talk about. And oftentimes we come with those traumas through the birthing process of our lineage, our mothers and our grandmothers and our grandmothers and grandmothers and so on. So if there was any traumas within that lineage experience of what we've called sexual abuse or rape or anything like that, or even if there's negative energies that are connected with the act of sacred sex, is the sacred union of that life force between two beings, then those traumas will be held within the cells and within the organs and within the bodies and the emotional body. They then get passed to the generational energies. And so it's up to each generation. This is why each generation is more and more profound in their light that they carry and their wisdoms and their mastery, so that they can clear those traumas for the generations before. We're talking linear, but it's all now. And so they were showing me that the various traumas that the certain ancestry that I've been connected with, and this could be Akash as well as earthly lifetime, because it's all one. Energetically, it's all one. Sometimes we come with those energies because we're clearing those vibrational, energetic, physical traumas, energies. We'll call them energies because trauma sometimes closes the body down to receiving the healing. So they're energies. It's all energies. They could have happened in a physical experience, but if it's still being carried within the now experience, then it is an energy. The body is carrying that energy of experience, whether it was a physical abuse, a sexual abuse, a lineage abuse, doesn't matter what it's called, but it's still held within the energy body. It's still held within the physical body in the deep cellular remembrance, if you will. And so what I have been allowing myself to explore the last 2 years is really clearing those deep cellular traumas for myself and all of my lineage and all of the ancestry for the divine feminine. Because there's many experiences that we've come with through subjugation that are steeped within our lack of self-worth for who we are as sacred vessels, the disproportionate perspectives of how we are held within society and conformity within social roles. And that affects how we feel about who we are, the value and the sacredness of who we are. The value and the sacredness of who we are is sacred, divine, wise, intelligent beings that must be honored and valued and treated with great respect and with great honor. First, as we're understanding it, claiming it, and acknowledging, accepting, allowing it for ourselves, therefore clearing and cleansing all of those traumas through the lineage. So when we're talking about subjugation, that subjugation is a vibration of control and suppression in any way, suppression of your dynamic feminine or masculine creative flow. And those are held within the all chakras because it's all one, but primarily the root chakra, which allows you to feel free and safe within your grounding of the vessel that you are. All of your vessel experience, your multidimensional experience, and grounding it to feel safe, honored, and valued as this human experience, as spirit. The sacral chakra is your creative expression, whatever, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, but those creative expressions for you to uniquely, authentically, divinely be you in human form. So if there was any experiences held emotionally, mentally, etherically, or sexually that are held within that creative flow of who you are, then those would be those healings done within those the lower chakras. We're only going to talk about the 2 lower chakras today. Of course, it is connected with the all. But within the deep cellular healing, within the chakra healing, the energetic healing, when we're talking about subjugation and how it is linked and threaded through the infinite number of experiences that humanity can experience and move through, it will be important for us to become aware and acknowledging these as certain experiences within the human collective come forward to be healed. The children's collective and the many abuses that have occurred within the children's collective, for us to acknowledge, accept, and allow these greater healings to come forward and allow us to own and operate within this higher vibrational experience of oneness and who we are as vibrational essences of source. And so we first must allow ourselves to know that these energies, in the various forms that they come from, can be experienced in a myriad of different ways, emotionally, mentally, physically, and etherically. We're giving you only a few examples, but it's not obviously encompassing of what every single person may experience. But we're giving these to you as examples of how these experiential energies, the psyche imprints, if you will, are held within the various multidimensional perspectives of the body, and how to tune into it when it's occurring in your everyday life, because some of these are very suppressed and might not be visible, but can be very subtle. And this is why when you're turning on to the subtle aspects of who you are, these very deep suppressed energies will come forward to be released and understood. So be okay with that. That's a natural process. We say that because some of these suppressed energies, because they've been too painful to deal with, usually come forward when you have the gifts and the skills and the wisdoms and the energies to provide that balancing sustenance to be able to transmute those energies into light. We've suppressed them because there was no wisdom or knowledge or energies and support for us to move through those deep energetic psyche experiences. And one experience that I had was, a story that was offered to me in a really long time ago when I was first studying energy. It was quite taken aback by it, because I'd always wondered why I'd walked around with certain energies of remembrance that didn't feel like they were mine. But I was there to clear them in my field, though that's when I was first connecting with the subtle field of all that I am. And what I had come with to assist in clearing was the sexual experiences between others that were not in an awakened state, because they used the experience of sex, of intercourse, of whatever we called it, in ways of control and manipulation. And these are very steeped threaded. And this is why, as we awaken, everyone in our collective, will move through the purifying and the rarefying of how we view ourselves as sacred. That's where it always begins. You and source, sacred, the life force that you are as source, as spirit. And this is why we'll offer this and take as often and as long as you need to process the various vibrational stories that are within this offering. Because so many people will be offered different remembrances to what they're here to transcend into a very sacred and illuminating, miraculous experience of who they are now. And to claim it as sacred, to claim yourself as sacred and release what no longer serves. Because we've all had experiences, whether it's been through the viewing and perceiving in our reality of the separation and the devaluing of the body through various experiences, can be sexual, mental, emotional, or physical. This is what the Children's Collective as well will need to move through their own process of healing, to always remind themselves that they are source, that they are here to reclaim their sovereignty and realigning with their truth of who they are, their discernment, their sovereignty, so that they can detach from the stories and not take it on as theirs. And that's really important, that we continue bringing these high vibrational teachings and learnings forward, so that the children are not walking around, as I did most of my life, feeling as if, on the verge and barely hanging by a thread. Thank you to Spirit for pulling me through so many experiences, because there's just not the expansive healing potentials that are offering the vastness of understanding of who we are as multidimensional beings. We end up carrying them with us that don't necessarily have to be. It can be cleared and healed when you're owning your sovereignty, and that's your true self-empowerment of who you are as source and sacred. However, where we've come from 3 to 4D is clearing all of those lineage and akashic stories that haven't felt comfortable, that have been suppressed and depressed to a point where we become imbalanced mentally, physically, emotionally, etherically, through which control, negativity, the misuse and the abuse of the tantric sexual energy that many of us have had in many timelines and lifetimes in different forms, because oftentimes that tantric energy is still used and understood as a way of the misalignment of sacred flow of source. And there's various opinions, and there's various experiences and various desires to explore that, and that's all true and valid. But what we're relating to through the healing process is to understand that, and each person will have their own exploration, experience, and expression of this, and this is true and valid for all. because everyone has a unique perspective that they're here to heal about their own sacred connection with source and what that means to them in that intimate sexual way. And is the body and is the soul and the spirit and the mind held in that sacred harmonization? Where we've come from most often than not, no, because they've been brought forward from very suppressed and depressed collective subjugation timelines and energies and generations. And so that, in just my experience, was one thing that I had to heal and be aware of when I was first awoken, because there's traumas in my lineage that I have to heal. There's traumas in my lifetime that I have to heal with the imbalances and the disregard and the misunderstanding of the very intimate sacred sexual act. And if each partner is at varying degrees of understanding who they are as sacred, then those intimate connections where energy is flowing back and forth at a physical level, a mental level, an emotional level, and etheric level, when you're having that interaction of a very sexual experience that is meant to be that very sacred connection. And if it's done in a way that is through the coercion or the imbalance of aggression and things like that, those energies get entangled, and those are meant to be cleared as you're moving into your awakening state as being sacred. And so many of the divine feminine are here clearing it for their lineage, because there's been various roles and definitions and conformity that we've all had to move through, to know, well, what is this that I'm clearing? How can I move in a way that is more in alignment with who I am as sacred, so that I honor my body as sacred, I honor my truth as sacred. And knowing thyself is that part of your sovereignty, exploration and navigation. And it's different, it will be different, and you're going to move through those experiences. And why many that are going through the awakening process end up abstaining from those sexual relationships, because they're taking that time emotionally, mentally, etherically, and energetically to sort themselves out. Because when you're infusing with others, you can feel those energetic transmutations that go back and forth that when in imbalanced state, they just confuse and they bring chaos. Because especially when you're not understanding who you are in your multidimensional allness, you're bringing in others into the mix that, as they say, mix up the soup. And then you're having to deal with it when you're in your state of saying, okay, well, what's going on here? And so this is why those experiences occur, and why, various spiritual traditions have gone through those processes of abstinence, because they understand that purification and rarefication experience into their state of allness with source. And we want to be very clear about what we're offering, because there has been dogma and there has been misunderstandings and misrepresentations in what we've understood to be abstinence in connection with spirituality. And so we're taking it, jumping over what has been dogma, and we're creating this new spiritual experience of what is sacred. The sacred interaction of flowing source creatorship, when both parties are in balance of their sacredness. They're in that state of complete sovereignty and interdependence. When there are energies of codependence, which is what I was brought up in, codependent, I was seeing codependence, I was experiencing it, I was vibrationally, that was the soup that I grew up in. It was dysfunction and codependence. And so part of my reality experience is to heal that codependence and become completely and utterly self-sufficient and sovereign, where I'm subservient to no one and no thing. I am one with source. And that is my devotion, source and love and oneness. And it takes practice as you're moving through the various layers and levels and the subtleties of subjugation, because it comes at that infinite number of threads of mental subjugation, emotional subjugation, etheric, and physical. The games that are played in those vibrational stories that we explore, the guilt and the shame and the blame and all of those energies that are projected when those that are not in balance, and you're entangling with them at various levels, whether it's an intimate level, whether it's a physical level, it doesn't matter. But as you're awakening all that you are a spirit, you will absolutely feel these subtleties. And then you get to choose in your light, in your sovereignty, what you want to entangle with. And that's where those highest lessons come in, that you are eventually going to have to clear out and clear into that vibrational state where it feels good for you. Well, this is my sovereign state. This feels good to me. I'm listening to my body now. That doesn't feel good to me. And this is, that's when those decisions to step off of that merry-go-round and begin a new co-creative experience at a different frequency. And you start calling it in through your heart pulsation, through your cleared chakras. You're then calling in those vibrational matches to then create new experiences of higher vibrational co-creation. We say higher just because of the word that it is connected with the higher oscillating light that you have just taken on. As you've cleared, you've acknowledged, accept, and allowed what has been, and releasing it with gratitude and appreciation for the lessons, then the pressing out that it has allowed you to co-create with yourself. However, I'm saying that as a 51-year culmination of everything that I've learned and awakened to through my own spiritual studies and my own awakening to who I am as a multidimensional, omnipresent teacher. And it's not that easy when you're going through the release of physical and sexual trauma. That's where the daily clearing and cleansing is really important, and to really get sacred and loving and compassionate with yourself every moment that you're clearing out, doing 1 or 2 chakras for a week at a time. I'm already clearing just talking about it, because that allows you that compassionate pace and presence that you're committing and you're devoting to yourself as sacred. Because as you do that, you're building your sacred vibration. I say that because you will be tested, as the soul wants you to move through various experiences where your sovereignty, your strength and light, your strength and sovereignty will want that navigational experience at whatever level, whether it's, going for a new job and you're having to, be presented in front of a board of however many and stand within your strength in a multidimensional way that is serving and is not playing into, I've been in many, many experiences in job interviews where there's been so much of that subtle mind game of control and energies within interview processes. I can remember, it's just, we've come so far, but these are the things that you can stand within your sovereignty and project yourself as being pure light, pure oneness, and allow the highest vibration of interaction occur. Because you will sense those subtleties that you'll feel right away, this doesn't feel right for me. If these are going to be the bosses, perhaps this is not the right field for me, not right vocation for me. But these things that you can allow yourself to be aware of, tuned into, tapped into, so that you can say, I can choose and direct myself in a higher vibrational way because I know I'm sacred. My body is sacred. I deserve to be within a sacred environment. I deserve to call in sacred tribe. I deserve to have a sacred soulmate that places me on a pedestal as I place them. And we work interdependently with one another in sacredness, not in the back and forth games of winning and losing and egos got the control and fear that they're placing upon all others. Because they're in that, there's others in the mix that are going through their soul's path of figuring themselves out, and that's okay. But to know when you're allowing yourself to be firm within your light, that pillar of light, centering to your heart center, to say that we all have those experiences in all of the relationships that we've all gone through, whether they're friends or whether they're intimate partners. When to know in your heart that it's no longer serving. The energetic, the physical, the mental, the emotional is no longer serving. They're cycles that are not serving anyone, and just get pulled out, which is codependency. And that dysfunction of codependency is when those stories just keep going around and around and around, and they never serve anybody within it. They're just karmic cycles that continue to play. And it takes great spiritual strength to stand within your pillar of light and say, this is no longer serving me. This is where I choose to be now, vibrationally. So we wanted to bring this forward as a communion and an offering of sacredness of who you are, to own and be that, that divine, sacred commander. This is who I am now. I'm commanding. I have the commandmentship of my mental field, my emotional field, my sovereign field of who I am, all that I am. And I'm calling forward my oversoul, my oversoul of oversoul, my oversoul, and my soul is going to live through me in this clearing. And I know that I'm held with source. I know that Mother, Father have me. I know that the angels and the healing teams are helping me pull these cords and pull the densities that are not mine, or the projections I've taken on through those intimate relationships. And this is why, it's important that, and these conversations, these have been talked about for many years by many, spiritual teachers, especially the reawakening, the rebalancing of the divine feminine. When we're in those intimate relationships, it's to truly be aware of those subtle energies and those subtle programs that are playing of blaming and shaming and guilt and all of those things that everybody will be moving through to heal, so that they stand sovereign within themselves. And that's that spiritual clearing and that healing that each person is responsible for. And it takes both and all parties to come to the table and say, well, these are what is going on, and I can sense and I can feel at every level. How can this be sorted out? And depending on what the story has been between the two, then it's each person's choice and free will to choose the direction of their soul's yearning and their soul's betterment, not self-sacrificing the light, not self-sacrificing their voice, not self-sacrificing anything within the multidimensional allness that one is. And that's what I've experienced through my experiences. And to know that the vulnerability allows you to break through. There's beauty in the breaking. When you're breaking the old patterns of subjugation and suppression, where your voice was not heard, you feel the well up of love just want to burst through your chakras, because you knew that experience, you did not hold your voice when something occurred, and you should have said no or stop or whatever it was that suppression was, allowing someone to, those energies of co-creation that we call on, to say that was not okay at the time, or to not hold true to your soul's story, not hold true to your soul's respect and honor for who you are. And those are all experiences that we're here to assist humanity in healing, especially with the Children's Collective. Their voices not being respected and honored and heard and valued as masters, their bodies not being valued and honored and respected in the various abuses that they've moved through. And how do we bring this to the forefront for the greater good, so that the divine order can bathe and cleanse at every multidimensional level, through all generations, through all timelines, because that's what we will face as a collective. And these issues and these energies are not easy to bring forward and talk about, but it's time. It's time that we come forward to say, let's bring the greatest light and the greatest joy to things that are requiring the greatest light. And we can work together as a oneness collective. We can work together with this highest vision and version of who we are as multidimensional source beings, and look at it from a perspective of multidimensional oneness and healing. Because it's healing all timelines. The persecutors and the ones that were persecuted. It's healing all aspects of that. And that's what's required through the evolution of the allness that our whole universe is moving through. Because your forgiveness in yourself and those that you've co-created with, in the all that you are, you've played all roles. And that's where that forgiveness and compassion of self in all of your daily morning clearings is going to assist you in being that all version of you, so that you're seen and being in all moments, living from the space and the energy and the vibration of source. I am the all, and I am compassionate and forgiving and loving of the all. And I see things from the highest perspective of source. Because as we do, we end up bringing all vibrations up to the highest potentiation. And it's really hard to see when you're moving through. I've been through it. I get it. I get it. Those energies of abuse and the stories of manipulation and the stories of mental and emotional manipulation, and those energies that are projected through various circles and energies and relationships that are not functional at a heart space level, at a sacred level. And that's okay. That's okay, because you know what? You press out into your mastery because of it. You press out into your divine hood because of it. As masterful and as challenging are those experiences, they allow you to stand within your truth of empowerment. And everyone will have a various thread level and intensity that they will be here to heal, that their soul has taken on based on their soul's lineage and heritage. Some of us with great heritage, like myself, and the multiverse, omniverse that I am linked with, I have the capacity to call on that lineage and that heritage to assist me in healing these. And I have other vibrational energies that I am seeing and sensing and can feel that I'm allowing myself to tap into to bring forward the most expansive human practical potentiation, so that we can begin healing at the most practical level, so that it's on divine order and in the highest good and the greater good of all. Because we need to step beyond the forest to see our way through it, to see our way above it, to see our transcension of it, not seeing everything from where that issue was created from. And that's where those ego and karmic cycles continue to go, because we're never stepping outside of the problem, or living in the past, or living within the experience over and over and over again, just continuing to perpetuate, calling in more people to co-create those experiences with you. And that's why, again, it comes back to that daily clearing, devoting yourself to your own sacredness, your oneness with source, so that each day you're reclaiming your sovereignty. Each day you're reclaiming your light and your power. Every time you clear something through forgiveness, love, and compassion of all parties involved, you reclaim your sovereignty. Your sovereignty allows you to stand stronger, allows that pillar of light to become more and more and more bright. That's becoming the masterful light that you are, to assist all others in reclaiming theirs. This pillar of light becomes brighter and more pristine and more purified and rarefied, and flows out. And they come to us in a multi-dimensional way. And so if you take 2 chakras for a week at a time, and just know that if there's triggers that are coming up, is because there's a portion of it to know that you're ready to clear it. And so be very strong and in strength with yourself, and knowing that, I understand that there's a suppressed energy there. I understand that it might be, it might feel a bit incapable for me to heal and move through, but I know myself, and I understand that I'm able to move through this with the help in the heavens, calling in the highest masters, calling in the highest healing teams, calling in the Holy Christ, the Mother and Father, your healing teams, your souls, knowing that you have infinite ways that you can reach out in a physical way, to counseling, helplines, and all of these things that are now at our service, and online support groups, family and friends. There's always that reaching out that you can do, and create those communities of support and help for those deeper traumas, those deeper energies, psyche remembrances that are held within the physical, mental, emotional, etheric bodies. And oftentimes through those, we're going to go back to it because it's important. They're just wanting me to remind that sometimes when we're creating those intimate partnerships, and those that are awakening to their fuller multidimensional selves, when they're having those intimate experiences, they can go through phases and cycles of awareness, if you will, through whatever it might be, a physical and intimate, a mental, emotional, or, the things that we move through as interactions with humans, physical, mental, emotional, all those things, they're interactions of energy. So if it's an intimate experience, and allowing yourself to know that at every moment you have choice to bring greater sacredness into all interactions, whether it's a communication, whether it's a game, whether you're playing tag, whatever it might be, that sexual connection, you can have that choice to bring greater sacredness into it, so that you feel at your sovereign level, your state of oneness with source. And that's where it all begins, is our oneness with source, the oneness to feel joyful and feel beautiful within who we are, that sacredness of physical, mental, emotional, and etheric oneness of all that we are, a source and a spirit, and to bring it in at such a balanced and sacred, beautiful level. This level of awareness will allow you to call forward any energies, beliefs, and information, and co-creations that have not been held in that sacred vibration. And that will be a breakthrough experience that you and your partner can move through, and your family can move through. To say, well, I'd like this to be a deeper connection of spirit. I'd like this to be a deeper connection of sacredness. I honor you as sacred. I hold you in the most high. How can we work through this together so that we are both honoring one another as sacred beings of interdependent light? Because that is the flow of sacred life force. And that's, for me, that is what was, the experiences that we've moved through is been through separation, through fear, and through subjugation and oppression. So we're healing all that. To do that, to bring it to its state through which it was meant to be, the sacred experience of oneness, through that sacred oneness of source, the honoring of all life, sexually, mentally, emotionally, etherically, to honor all as source in a sacred way. It's very sacred. And you'll know and you'll sense when it's not feeling sacred, and then to sort out, okay, what am I feeling? What was going on there? And to sort it out. That way you stay in commandmentship of your ever moment pressing out. And they're oftentimes not comfortable, because in the historical experiences of our 3D experience, the male perspective, if you will, has much that they have to move through in vulnerability and sensitivity, because they felt responsible for making everything right, if you will, and for being the, you know, the head of the household, and, you know, all of those outdated, over fabricated experiences that serve no one. They're keeping great imbalance emotionally and mentally and energetically on the male experience. And it affects them in every way, mentally, physically, sexually. It affects everybody. What goes on with one person goes on with everybody, because it's a union, you know. So this is why it's important that we begin talking. We begin bringing greater awareness to the level of connection that each and every person desires to have, and honoring it. This is the level of connection and sacredness that I choose to experience. And every single person will be different. And have that be okay. Have that be the starting point, where those energies can now be brought to a new, higher perspective of communion, of love, of connection. And that's what's really needed in our collective, is how can we connect at a deeper, loving level, bring these energies that we're all clearing. There's not one person that is not clearing any aspect of subjugation. There just isn't, because this is the human collective experience. We are moving into sovereignty. Sovereignty is healing all subjugation. Male, female, children, aged, doesn't matter how we define it in the physical words. We are healing the vibration of subjugation. Sovereignty, to be in oneness with source as source, and fully respected, being authentic, creatively, expressively, explorationally, all that we are sovereign. And each person, the awakening process and the awareness process, say, wow, this feels good to me. This is who I am. This feels really good. And you'll feel it from your belly. Yes, this is who I am. And I kept it held in my throat chakra, and you go through your throat chakra clearing, you know, and you'll have that feeling in your throat where that's that continual verklempt feeling. That means that there's things going on in there that need to be brought forward. That there was many, many times where that subjugation in your throat didn't get called forward. You know, especially for women that have gone through experiences, and even for men too, it doesn't matter, because it's all the same. Again, we're all one. It's a union where things that have occurred in a relationship that were never brought forward because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings, or you didn't want to rock the boat, if you will. We've all done it in various ways, in minor and major levels. So that's when that constant verklempt just sits there, and that's when the throat chakra gets closed right down. That is the expression of spirit. You know, your voice is your expression of spirit. So how can this come forward and express your truth, to say, well, that's never really worked for me. I've never said it before, but I need to be truthful about it, because it feels like I'm not honoring my truth if I'm not speaking in honesty of who I am. And it must come forward. I must begin to speak about this, and be done in whatever way that you feel comfortable. But at least you're honoring the truth of your soul, the honesty of your soul, the honesty of your spirit, and standing in that sovereign light that you have now created and made room for. But going back to the lineage and the akash, and any energies that have occurred within the family, lineage, history, and akash, any traumas and abuses that have occurred can be held within the cellular energies of you as a multidimensional being when you're going through the birth canal. So if there was any energies of imbalance and fear, remorse, regret, resentment, any of those energies that are infinite for human experience, they're brought through and through the birth canal. Why sometimes we take on those energies to clear for our generations, so that they're not being carried over into the next generation. And why we are doing so much clearing in this lifetime, so that the higher vibrational angelic children can come forward without the traumas of separation and fear that we've gone through from 3 to 5D. So just understand that and know that, and have that be okay. There was many experiences I've remembered in utero. And so those were energies that I had to clear. You know, I had to clear those, because it directly reflected my self-value and my self-worth. And this is where we're forgetting that we are all one. We are, each and every one of us, returning as love, infinite, eternal, Christic, holy beings as love. And every moment that we do, reminding ourselves of that, we reclaim our sovereignty, and we heal all timelines, all past, all present, all future, through the purity and the frequency of love and compassion. Knowing that we can releasing the anger and the fear and all the resentment and all of those energies that are included until you get to that point of acknowledgement and forgiveness and compassion, because they only did what they did from the level of consciousness that they had, and those are the stories that we threaded with so that our consciousness could press out. We knew it at the highest soul level. It's not easy when you're moving through those moments, but the soul level, once you've come through that clearing, and it will only take, you can only really stay in those energies of, those energies of fear and whatever it is that you're clearing, breathe through it. Allow that to feel. Allow yourself to feel whatever that energy and emotion that's coming forward. Breathe through the feeling. Feel it. Allow it to be released. Breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. And it will only last a couple of minutes. And then it's gone out of your system, out of your cells, out of your organs, out of your energy field. And you'll be bathed in with the holy light, calling in the holy light, calling in the holy light, calling in the holy light. I call in love to replace all that has now been released. I'm calling in my greater light. I'm calling in my greater light. All of my chakras are healed with the highest light of the Holy Christ. I am pure. I am sovereign. I am my wholeness. I am source creator. And this is who I am. I reclaim my sovereignty. I am divine. I am whole. And I am healed. I am one with source. I am whole. Reclaiming that whatever was just transmuted, call in the highest light and claim anew. Claim sovereignty anew. Claim sovereignty anew. That is your new now strength. That is your true self-empowerment. That is your transmuting of all that was. And so those moments, those 2 or 3 moments that you're actually feeling the fear or feeling the abuse or whatever it was, not the story. Remember, always detach from the story, whether it was detach from the story and the people, if you will, the names and the faces, detach from that, because otherwise you're just threading in those energies again. Detach from, and just intend, I detach from the people. I choose to release the emotion of fear about intimacy, the fear about owning my sexual body as sacred, these imbalances about owning my body as sacred, the imbalances of not being able to speak my truth when I knew something didn't feel right, whatever it might be that you've realized in your clearing. Okay, well, that needs to be cleared. Okay, let's connect with it. My fear of voice, like my voice. This is my voice. I'm standing in my truth. Let's bring this forward. And you'll feel the lower 2 chakras start to open up because they're connected with your sexual organs. They're connected with your sexual energy body. That sexual energy body is connected with the heart. And that's when anything that happens as a sexual trauma is also connected with the heart, and the heart begins to shut down. And then you begin to attract those energies and those experiences and co-creations from that closed chakra, and they always end up spiraling in karmic energy cycles. Why do I keep attracting the same people? Well, because you've closed your heart down. Because of the traumas that you've experienced in your sexual center. Because through a codependence experience and perspective, that's what you saw when you were younger through the lineage or through the collective. So you're thinking that this is how it must go. Well, no, this is how I choose to procreate. And this is where you're reaching out for that new experience. I choose a new experience that is divinely sacred, sacred in my mental body, sacred in my emotional body, sacred in my physical body, sacred in all that I am as an energy being. I desire a sacred experience. This is what I'm feeling that is not sacred. And then sort it out. Be forthright with your voice. Be forthright with your feelings. Be forthright with who you are as a spirit and a soul. And own that divine feminine, that divine male experience of your own truth. Your truth is valid for you. Your truth is right for you. Your truth is your way to navigate your soul's destiny, and why that discernment is so very key. Your discernment won't be the discernment of all others, and have that be okay. Your discernment is linked with your soul's truth. Your soul's truth is trying to show you something that is greater, bigger, wider, and more satisfying and more fulfilling at the highest soul version. But if we're not following our soul's discernment because we're feeling obligated to be in subservient energy of others and what others want for us, and not speaking our truth, then we're not living within the discernment of our truth. And what they showed me this morning was, and I'm just writing this down, it was really important. Really, really, really Oh, I find this because it was really good. Conservation, facing present. Oh, when you're being your greatness, acknowledging, when we're coming back to that sovereignty, when you acknowledge your greatness, when you acknowledge your sovereignty, when you acknowledge your oneness with source, when you acknowledge your oneness as love, when you acknowledge your oneness as your empowerment. And empowerment is that soulful empowerment. There's a difference, and you can feel, you can allow yourself to explore these different energies. When you're in the vibration of the ego power feels that there's those subtle energies that every person will move through in their navigation as spirit, because that's how we have to move to get to mastery. When there's that powerful feeling through the ego, is that having to win and have control over others in any way, whether it's an argument, whether it's getting your way for dinner, and all of those things. Those are very subtle energy experiences of power that the ego is involved with. When your ego is completely surrendered to the soul, your soul is now saying, wow, I feel really empowered. This is who I am. And you can feel it from your belly, from all your chakras comes and lives through you. It's a soulful experience. And you'll feel the difference between something that is felt because it's a vibration, that's ego, or something that is really felt through those loving communications, as each of you are all moving through greater awareness and awakening to sacredness. You'll feel the ever pulsing up and the navigation of working the energy into greater sacredness. When each are surrendering ego to spirit, and each are surrendering their wants and their needs and their desires to spirit, and having that free-flowing allowance of the soul to guide you and direct you into those fully self-fulfilling, empowering, prophetic moments of that rebirth. We're rebirthing yourself anew into greater light. And that's felt as a vibration. It's a vibrational feeling. It's a vibrational experience where you are becoming greater spirit, where the all is served. Every person in that experience is served. Even though that person at that moment might not understand, because they're just ready to continue those old cycles because that's comfortable for them, and they're not ready to take that leap out of fear yet. But eventually that soul will be served, because if that cycle continues because of fear for change, then either parties don't learn and none are served. Again, self-sacrifice serves no one. When you're sacrificing your light, you're sacrificing your voice and your truth. When you're sacrificing any of those things, no one is served. But there are experiences that we all move through, because that's how mastery is pressed. That's how we navigate mastery, because each and every one of us are doing it at very subtle and not so subtle levels. You don't necessarily have to walk around and be over analytical about everything, but you'll know as you're awakening to your omnipresence, you'll absolutely feel into, well, that didn't feel right. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that conversation. Let's go back to that experience in the bedroom. What's going on there? And sort it out. That's how you become more in alignment with your sacred soul truth. And then you clearing those energies of everything that was, because it won't be in alignment with your now soul truth, which is now sacred. When you choose that sacred experience, I'll give you an example. If, per se, we're moving into this new experience, and you're moving into this new chapter of your life, and you're saying, okay, I've cleared away so much. Now I'm really ready. I'm ready for a sacred career, vocation. I'm really wanting to allow all that I am as a being to come forward and serve in my highest way. I know I've got these great gifts. I want to be this soulful server. I want to be a servant to love and co-creation and evolution. And these sacred connections, your family and the connections you want are sacred, and a relationship, a soulmate that is sacred communion, where it's interdependent and you're honoring and loving and being sacred with one another at every level. Once you choose that experience for your soul self, and you'll know when you're ready, when you've done enough clearing to know that, okay, well, I get it now. And I feel the difference between what feels good and what doesn't feel good, what feels truth and what does not feel truth, what feels what feels inappropriate and what feels authentic and truthful. You get that by your experience. And that's the only way that we move through the process of healing, through forgiveness, love, and releasing all judgment. Because when you're judging yourself as any of those energies, you wouldn't be able to get to full self-love if we're not allowing yourself to move through the experience and the navigation. That's the only way I'm able to teach what I know, is because I've moved through it all, you know. And giving yourself self-love and forgiveness and compassion is the only way that you move into this, wow, I am empowered, I can do this, I know it all, look, I've been through so much, and I can still come through, because that is love, that is light. Light will always prevail, love will always prevail. And the ego doesn't know its realm. The ego can only do so much. It's meant to be in service to the spirit. In service, meaning that, help me manifest, ego, help me manifest, ego. You're here to help me manifest, we're partners, but I am the guide. I am source. And ego can say, yes, I'm tired. Let's go, let's do this. So that's that multidimensional, loving and compassionate relationship that your ego will now be in favor of. You know, not having to figure it all out, because it has never been taught these things. You got to keep telling your ego and keep honoring it with self-love and compassion. Say, we got this. We got this. I got the skills. I got the gifts. I got the soul teams. I got the heavens. The heavens walk with me. We got this. Don't worry. We got this. You know, give yourself that honor and that empowerment. Yeah, we got this. It might not be easy, but we got this. So they were talking about your truth, and that's just the one last thing that we'll go before we close this up, is that your truth is that whole soulful experience, all that you are, feeling safe in your body, feeling your creative expression, feeling your I am presence, feeling love and connectedness with all things and all life, speaking your truth, seeing your truth, being your truth, and the highest truth of the heavens. All your vibrational multidimensional experiences is truth. Every time you clear and cleanse, you'll get to a new truth. You'll harmonize with that higher aspect of source, you as source. So every moment will be becoming a new higher truth. And this is why those relationships, all relationships, will go through these navigational experiences where each will be experiencing a higher truth. And knowing when to be sovereign in your truth to say that this is no longer working, because it's just, so every person will be in those moments of creating those free will choices for themselves, for their highest soul's purpose, and not feeling in that subjugation of self-sacrifice in any way. The self-sacrifice of love, creativity, expression, all of those things. That's where the whole collective will be experiencing sovereignty, when each and every one of us as individuals work through what is the true empowerment of sovereignty. Well, it's to know that we have values within the sacredness of who we are, at a physical level, a mental level, an emotional and etheric level. And why we as masters, teachers, leaders, and healers, the ones that break through and press out new vibrational programs, so that the children can be healed in this experience. Because there's been many traumas and abuses that we're going to have to prepare the fields for vibrationally, and say, we can do this. We can bring healing and light to what we have co-created. We can do this. And we can, absolutely. Source lives through each and every one of us, and we can create new vibrational platforms of honor and respect for all life. Honor and respect, and not have it degraded in any physical, mental, emotional, or etheric way, you know, through any type of fear and control or manipulation. That's what we're healing. And it is quite a diverse and beautiful experience. Not always pretty and not always easy, but that's what we came here for. We came here to assist in the re-evaluation and the reworking of benevolent love that is source. That's evolution. There's no judgment on any of it either way. This is the dynamic expression of who we are as source. And we have that light. We can make a difference. It's so empowering that, yes, this is my truth. I'm finally speaking from my belly. I'm finally living from my belly, and I have a big heart, and I am pure light. And this is sacred. The words I speak, how I walk, and how I speak to one another, and how I want to commune in this way is sacred. You walk with that vibration, all is changed. All timelines, all energies. My intention is love, my intention is oneness, and I am love. I'm happy in it. And it's okay that you claim it. It's okay that you allow all that you are to be healed by it. That is your power. It's so profound, so profound. And you set that example for all children. Say, we got this. We got this. It won't be easy, but we're here. Our hands are held out for one another. We are here. We got this. We are profound in source, and source has us. We accept all that we are as source. We love all that we are as source, and we are all sacred. Every aspect of life is sacred. The smallest to the micro, macro, it is sacred. Sacred breath, breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. And within a few minutes, you'll be brought through. And you'll be the greater light. You'll be more transparent. You'll be able to see through things. You'll be able to walk through things. That's the transparency that love offers. It's expansive, it's eternal, it's infinite. And any trauma and any experience, reach out for the help and allow yourself to know that there's a trigger that's wanting your affection and your love, and you're calling it, and you're worth it. That soul, that aspect of you that you can feel being that trigger, that source within you saying, we've got this. Soften into me. Soften into this experience and know that you are loved unconditionally through it, that you are held unconditionally through it, that you are forgiven unconditionally through it, that you have such compassion for yourself unconditionally through it. I have got this. I am love. And I will be light unto all breath through it, because you are. And you release those transmuting patterns and programs and energies and experiences of the psyche that are completely transmuted and transformed through light. Your intention and will to breathe through it as love. I'm breathing through this with love. I'm breathing through this with love. I am love. I forgive myself. I forgive all others. I forgive all stories that are entangled with this. I forgive all negative beliefs and limiting beliefs. I'm breathing through this with love and compassion, my purity of my intent. And you can feel this belly of who you are as love, breathing through and transmuting through, breathing through, transmuting through, breathing through, transmuting through. You got this. You got this. And we are here for you every day. And we wanted to bring those forward because your truth and exploring who you are, reevaluating, and we say reevaluate as far as just sorting things out. That's the reevaluation process, not within who you are, because that is unconditional love. The reevaluation of what hasn't been working, what have you squashed your voice for? What light have you held back? What is ready for you to come forward and sort out vibrationally? Physically, mentally, emotionally, etherically, and we all know it. We all walk through it every day. The more aware you are and the more that you're doing your daily clearing, your journaling, your dream journaling, all of that stuff will be very easy for you to sort out. It'll come as soon as it comes to you. This needs to be sorted out. It's been put on the back burner. Let's sort it out. For you and your oversoul and your oversoul of oversoul and oversoul, you have so many beings. You have infinite number of beings that are helping you at the table. Sort it out. Release it, cry, breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. You got this, you got this, you got this. And it'll be transmuted into pure light. Pure light. Pure light. Pure light. Source has you. Source has you. And don't feel worried about reaching out. We have personal healing sessions and intuitive healing sessions and akashic blocks that you might be carrying. Anything that we offer on our website includes that vibrational healing. So feel free to just email me. I'm going through my personal email right now because the web email is not working. I'm just in the process of setting up a new webpage for vibrational healing, working through the various human conditions and the things that are allowing us to work through our various 5D exploration. And so my personal email is Joanna Ross, ROSS 888@yahoo.com. So please feel free to connect with us if you're looking to explore further into intuitive readings, where we call in the Heavenly Council and the Heavenly Teams to read through your current blocks and how to move through them. As well as we'll be also offering weekly sound healing sessions with light language and vibrational healing codes. So just be gentle with yourself and compassionate with yourself. There is no rush. There is no hurry. You have the infinite aspects of wisdom and intelligence and energy behind you, within you, and all about you. Allow yourself to know that you will expect miracles within your healing, just through your own intention. I walk as sacred light. I am sacred light. I walk as sacred joy. I am a sacred joy. And this will be healed and transmuted. And it will come forward. There's been various energies of energy psyche experiences that I've been healing that have been taking years. And just be okay with that. The deeper experiences, because we're calling in, especially if your soul is here to co-create at a collective global level, you will have a myriad of experiences that your soul knows that you can handle to move through, so that you're able to be of the greatest potentiation of help. And so just know that it took me a while to figure that out. I was always in that point of, okay, what else? I mean, goodness gracious, it's just been suffering after suffering after suffering here. How much more do I gotta go? But it was because that I was able to call in all of my multidimensional soul perspective. I honor and I'm grateful for it now. But when you're in the throes of it, allow yourself that compassion to know that you will come forward with the highest level of experience and wisdom and intelligence and light and availability to carry greater light. You will. That's just the process of transmutation. You know, letting go and transmuting what no longer served, because you now carry a new perspective of belief. I am source. And that carries great light, profundity, wisdom, intelligence, infinite eternal light, and knowingness. And you'll be activating all those aspects of you through your soul that just bring through what you need, and you start resonating through those higher vibrational co-creations. And what we're here to offer the generations that come from our experience, every generation getting higher in vibration, higher light fields, higher oneness, higher oneness, higher oneness, higher oneness, where we're connected at our hearts. And I care and I love you. So just know that you are so loved and we are one. And it felt timely that we bring this forward, so that we begin to become greater aware of who we truly are, the things that we carry we might not even be aware of, but that come to us in subtle thought forms as we're moving about our day or in interactions with others, and what's ready to be brought forward and cleared. And I suggest only working on, depending on how much experience you've had and what you get a feel for yourself, and just tune in with your guides and your teams. Always trust your intuitive guidance. Always trust and know that there's care and there's love for you for the collective healing and various aspects of help that you can call upon. Listen and trust yourself. Trust your intuitions above and beyond all others. Your intuitive guidance, your intuitive truth, your intuitive sovereignty is how you build that self-empowerment, where you are your leader of you. That is sovereignty, and that carries so much light. You'll feel that empowerment, and that's when you begin to lift and raise above the ground, because you're living as spirit, complete sovereignty. I know that that's the process of transmutation, and it won't ever be just a straight up cycle. It never is. It's always navigating back and forth through anything that we've taken on as a projection, as a thought form from others, as imbalances of others in the collective, that we're all healing. And so just know that, be okay with that. And just do that daily clearing is so, so important, and realigning yourself throughout the day to your heart center. No, this is who I am now. This is how I choose to move about my experience. You know, and have those co-creative experiences of oneness, but knowing that you stand within your sovereignty and your sacredness of who you are, and you navigate your physical body in a new way. You navigate your mental body with a new way, with new greater honoring, new greater sacredness and truth with who you are. And your truth becomes more truth. You know, it becomes your new path. And so just know that's how you pave that yellow brick road. So exciting, so exciting. So just know, dear lighted ones, you are the heavens and we love you. And allow yourself to move forward in this process with great care and with great sacredness, honoring it and journaling it, expressing it, exploring it, and navigating through it, so that you stand within this truth to say, this feels good for me now. This didn't feel comfortable with me, but I cleared it, and I allowed myself to come up with a higher vibrational perspective and truth for who I am, a new belief that allows me to claim my light, that allows me to claim my sovereignty. That's why we move through those experiences. That's why we've co-created them, so that we can come to this higher vibrational truth, our oneness as source. So it's all purposeful, it's all valid, it's all required in your mastery of who you are as source. You're perfect, pure light, and we love you so much. Namaste, dear lighted ones, and take care, and listen to and go back to all of our videos for the vibrational messages and energies that are offered through this. And we love you dearly, and we honor you, and we wish you namaste and goodwill to all. We love you, we love you, we love you. Source is always with you. Just live from your heart, dear ones. Namaste.